Welcome to the Essential EP, the podcast where Claire Messina and corporate marketing veteran Evre Peştereli delve into the realms of coaching, mentorship, and startups. With over 15 years of corporate expertise, Evre serves as a guide for founders considering mentorship, young professionals navigating the corporate ladder, and anyone seeking career guidance. In each episode, expect a fusion of practical tips and inspirational stories drawn from Evre's rich background in coaching, mentoring, marketing, media, and more. Join us on this enlightening journey through careers and startups, where Evre imparts valuable insights to help you thrive in your professional pursuits. So, let's jump into the episode. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining me for this podcast. Great to have you. Can you introduce yourself and talk about a little bit about your current profession and what your expertise is?
Yeah, perfect. So this is Evre. I have been in the marketing and media profession for like 15 years, more or less. Mostly on the corporate side. I've worked at different positions. Then I've worked at Mindshare. It's a big media agency, and currently I'm at Bayer, leading media and data strategy for Turkey, MENA, and Pakistan. So, and also South Africa. And but other than that, I have a couple of other passions, I can say. So I think it's been 7 years that now I have had a couple of trainings and coaching. So I did professional coaching as, I cannot say a side job basically, but it's like a side passion really. I do it both for professional, professional coaching, but also for couples coaching and other stuff as well. And recently, for the last 3-4 years, I also joined into the endless world of startup ecosystem. So I'm doing mentoring for the startups in different programs. So it's kind of a combination of both sometimes when it comes to coaching and mentoring. And so those are like my sidekicks other than my professional job in media.
Pretty cool. So do you like to call yourself a coach or a mentor? Does it depend who you're working with?
Actually, it depends on what you're doing. And for instance, in some cases, it even differs from session to session, I can say, because the content of it is, even though it's pretty much understood as the same thing, it has a lot of distinctions. So it depends on the program. But I think I'm like more experienced as a coach, I can say, than as a mentor. But mentoring is something I also do on a day-to-day basis at work as well. So in that sense, I am also a very old mentor, I can say.
So what would you say are the main similarities between coaching and mentoring? And then what are the key differences that you think about when you're kind of determining if you're coaching someone or you're mentoring them?
I think what's the most common thing are you have to be with zero prejudice. You have to be curious. You have to, ask the right questions as a curious kid, basically. So you don't know the situation, even though you might know a lot of things about that particular industry or that particular situation, but you have to be, because both coaching and mentoring are individual stuff. So each case is a new thing. So that is why you should be as a blank page and ask questions with zero prejudice. That's the critical thing, that's the common thing. The other common thing is to understand, really read in between the lines when you're listening to the person that you are either giving the coaching service or the mentoring service, that what their struggles are, what their needs are. And then you come to the distinction part. In coaching, you're basically, the main principle of coaching is that, everyone has their unique inner power and potential, and if guided correctly, they can actualize it.
Yeah.
So you believe in the inner power of people, and that's really what I very much love about coaching. So to make that happen, you cannot presume the answer for them. So you are basically a tour guide in their journey to their inner strength to overcome that particular issue. And, you ask them the questions because they have to find the answers themselves. The reason behind that is actually coaching has a connection to psychology, of course. And, also in a therapy, the therapist doesn't tell you that, you have to do this. Yeah, they get you to find the answer. But the distinction between there is coaching is always future forward and always on the positive side of the story, whereas therapy is, something very much different. So going back to comparing coaching to mentoring, in mentoring, you have a significant expertise. For instance, when I mentor startups, my area of expertise is like go-to-market strategies, storytelling, pitching, etc. So I see their pitch presentations, and I tell them like, you have to do this like that. You should change your storytelling in that manner. There is no wow effect. You should include a wow effect, etc., etc. So I tell them what to do when I do mentoring. But in coaching, you just guide the people or the teams to find their, coaching is much more personal, by the way. Like, even if you're coaching a startup, you're mostly coaching the person who's leading the project to, help them in their journey. But that's the main distinction I can say.
So do you think that there's specific areas that someone should seek out a coach for versus seeking out a mentor? What would those kind of look like?
I think like if they're trying to go for a pitch, like as a startup, then yes, they definitely, need a mentor. Mostly like the areas where we see the biggest needs in terms of all of the, flow of startup journey, I can say. The initial business idea, that planning bit is always really hard because it's always like you have an idea and as a startup and you're trying to, fetch it to something, saying that this fits that, but it's not always necessarily like that. So it's really important to understand that you're really consumer or customer focused. So that, I think, business idea development part is the biggest part where you need mentoring. The second part is the, pitching and storytelling bit. And the third, I think they're kind of interconnected part is like go-to-market strategy and the financial modeling that you're wrapping around it. So those bets, you need a mentor who knows their thing very well, who have seen succeeding and failing startups before, so that they will guide you through your journey for you to not to be one of the failing ones, but one of the succeeding ones. But it's a very, very hard and very consuming journey as a startup. I mean, sometimes you're really feeling alone. You're really like having your downs, it's like very much like the hero's journey. I think, you have the bumps on the road and everything. So that's why you also need coaching at a personal level to make sure that you're, sticking to your goal and that you're pulling up your strength, like, whatever personal tools you need to make it throughout the journey, because I haven't heard of any startup story that has been smooth and easy. So in that hard journey, you need some personal support as well. And the schematic, like the mechanism of coaching is basically to ask you what your goal is and to support you to shape up your life, your priorities in a way for you to enable you to reach out to that goal. So it is kind of like the support thing that you can have on the side, but mentoring will be more of a business stuff that will give you like, do this, do that, don't do that, skip this from the presentation, that's BS, etc., etc. It's gonna be tough. Maybe I think, like, to be honest, after some mentoring sessions, you might need some coaching. On a personal level, I can say that because some of them are really tough.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you think that certain age groups can benefit more from coaching, for instance? Do people have to be self-aware to seek out coaching or aware of themselves? Do you think that comes with age, or can anyone just like reach out to a coach at any stage or any sort of thing?
Yeah, what I see is like there are two levels of thresholds when you see, like, where coaching is much more demanded, I can say, is one, when you're out of college or your master's degree. Yes, you're ready to join the business world, but you have a lot of options, a lot of unclarities, and you don't know where to start, and you realize that you don't know what you really expect, and you don't know how you will explain yourself to a total stranger and impress themselves, impress them, and convince them to recruit you versus others, thousands candidates. That is, I think, one page where it's very much needed. That's where I do pro bono stuff for new graduates or young graduates to be with kind of lower financial accessibilities, let's say. So that is, I think, one bit. And the other bit is like, there are a lot of, how can I say it? Like, in today's world, there are a lot of push for you to live a certain kind of living. And the promise, let's say, is that you're out of good school, you're in a good company, you get married, and you have to be very happy by the age of 30 because you ticked all the boxes. But it's not the case in 95% of the time. So then people are like, what I am doing with my life, and I don't know what's the way forward is going to be like. And I've never thought about this stuff. And now, blah, blah. So around like 30s, then people are getting to reconsidering the life stage, mainly driven by work. So at that stage, also, they feel the need to have guidance to kind of like go back, look at what they had in mind, what they had received instead, and what's making them happy, what's making them sad. And most of the time, for instance, at that stage, when you ask questions like, if you dream of a great day, what it will be like? They forget to dream even. So they need to reconnect with themselves and everything. So that's, I think, the second bit of age group where they benefit from the most from coaching.
Yeah, I can, it's kind of like the midlife crisis or quarter life crisis of the thing. Do you think that also applies to mentorship? I mean, does that mean that a startup at any stage could seek out mentorship, or is it really like, is it better for early stage startups or when startups are scaling? Do you think that it affects how they interact with mentors?
Yeah, I think they need different levels of mentorships in different stages as well, just like the other one, but I think more frequent because I think, yes, they have to. I don't say that they need to. They have to have mentorship at the early stage when they're going for investments or preparing MVPs and stuff, because it's always like that's I think the riskiest stage in terms of where they fall in love with their idea, and they really need an external point of view to make sure if they're missing out something that they haven't discussed, they haven't thought about, and in 100% of the cases, yes. So that's the bit I think that's really important. And then when there is an early stage, like when MVP is considered, when if they're going for an investment route, then yes, they need it now with a more financial know-how perspective and stuff. And then after the peak stage, yes, success is there, like if they're lucky, and then to sustain that success, they need to get to the maturity stage. So maturity stage is something very much different. So now they need another level of mentorship, focusing on that, how to sustain the business success that they've gained and on the early stage, and how to make sure that they will be, because they were there with their initial offering, initial product. Now, firmly, they had some other ideas in place. So now they have to also identify how they're going to grow. I mean, what's going to be the line extension? Which additional product should be prioritized? What's going to be the timeline for the line extensions, launches, and everything? So that's even that's almost like forming up a new company. So that's another level where mentorship is crucial for a startup.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Kind of back to the age topic. Can you talk a little bit more about how young adults can really benefit from coaching and how they can maybe best seek out coaching and support?
I think one thing that's really important is to be true to yourself. I see from a generational perspective, having constructive feedbacks is being perceived kind of harder in younger generations, I can say. So it's really important to be open to expanding yourself, and also to make sure that I'm as a coach, I'm a very much of a homework person, I can say, but not boring homeworks, but thinking pieces, think about this until our next meeting, dream about this until our next meeting, kind of stuff. So because when you stretch yourself, in that sense, then you really benefit from it. So I think the younger you do it, because you have a huge potential, the younger you do it, the most you get out of it if you really open yourself to, pushing your limits. Then it's going to bring you a lot of opportunities moving forward in life.
I like that. I think maybe I should seek out a coach. I'm at that stage.
I'm up for it.
On the same sort of line, how can a coach support a young professional who's entered the job market and is really looking to kind of, quote unquote, scale the corporate ladder? Should you seek out someone who's in a same position as you or had been in the same position as you, or is it good to kind of go outside of your area of expertise, do you think?
I think the corporate game is pretty much similar, even across industries, I can say. So what I help the most, especially to young professionals, is to support them to, I don't know how to politically correctly say that, but to back themselves up in performance meetings, because they can be brutal and they can be tricky. And if you're not prepared going into a performance review meeting, then you can find yourself, backed against the wall, for no reason whatsoever, by the way. So that's a dance, I can say. You have to know the tango. So you have to be able to go into the room and say that, because most of the time in corporate world, you have to drag out the appreciation that you deserve. You don't get it directly. So that is why you have to know how to drag it out. So you have to go there with your, wordings ready, saying that I think I had a great year this year, especially focusing on this and that and that. And you agree with me, right? And after that, to be able to say no, they have to be evidently, surrounded if they want to say no. Otherwise, they can say like, I'm not fully satisfied with what we have achieved this year. And it can be bogus. And because it's your manager, you cannot challenge them saying that, give me a solid example. So that's why you have to be there prepared with the solid example. And you have to make sure that they are going to be forced to appreciate you for the appreciation that you deserve. I think especially in performance reviews, job interviews, but like a similar thing, those you really need to be prepared for.
That's very true. I have my annual review coming up soon. My last question for this segment is about female empowerment and how can we make sure that that's included in coaching and mentorship. Do you think that that's a piece of the puzzle for coaching and for mentorship, or do you think it's important if you're a woman in the corporate world that you should seek out a female coach or a mentor if you're a female founder for at a startup? What do you think kind of solves that missing piece?
For mentorship, I think the gender bit isn't that much important because that's more, focused on the profession, how, like, what you can get the most out of that person. But if someone is mansplaining you in something that you're very much, profound on, try to kind of, how can I say, like, ignore the bits that are annoying and not useful and focus on the parts but you can get the most out of them because you're already harassed by the talk, so at least get something out of it. When it comes to coaching, I always try to focus on, empowering women because, yes, there is a huge inequality in any industry that you work on. Let it be startups, let it be corporates, whatever it is. And you're always like, I think that the language, like, to being taught in a demeaning manner it's something you always are exposed to. I mean, I've always worked at international companies and I was exposed to it so many more times that I stopped counting. So that is why I think it's important to get the support from someone who's understanding what you're going through is important. So yes, having a female, not necessarily a female, let's say, but like a minority, maybe a coach, yes, can help you better because they will understand what you're going through much better and they can guide you in the way because they've probably already been through the same struggles that you are now facing or about to face. So they can help you with, help to navigate through them with a more clear knowledge, basically. So I agree with that connection.
Yeah. Someone to commiserate with as well.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much for answering my questions and being here for this segment. We get to know you and a little bit about coaching and mentorship and how they apply to different areas of our life.
Thank you.